A relapse is inevitable on NoFap. Everybody relapses. From the NoFap beginner to the veteran, relapsing at a point on your NoFap streak is a given. I often tell my friends when the topic of NoFap comes up that if you don't relapse on your first or your second try of NoFap, then you weren't a PMO addict in the first place. Those guys you see on Reddit that have gone for 2 years on NoFap would have had several relapses in the past. But that's life, isn't it? No success without failure. No positive without the negative. No light without darkness. The yin and yang of everything. But with every seed of failure comes an equal opportunity to grow, an opportunity to become better. So, in this video, we'll take a look at the 3 benefits you stand to gain from relapsing on your NoFap. But before we get into it, I want you to forget about the inevitability of a NoFap relapse for a second. Imagine a world where you can actually stay away from porn and masturbation and gain back control of your financial, relationship, and health goals. What if I tell you that this imagination can become your new reality? No matter how many times you've relapsed in the past, you can actually stop relapsing and get proficient at doing NoFap. But this is only possible if you seek the help you need. And here is a book that has helped thousands of PMO addicts to easily break their addiction to porn and masturbation. You can find a link to download the book in the description below. Now that we got that off our chest, the next time you relapse when you're on NoFap, don't take it as the end of the world. The relapse itself is not your problem. It is what you do after the relapse that counts. Most people fall into the chaser effect realm after a relapse and they start binging on porn and masturbation. Some people start thinking that NoFap isn't worth their efforts and they just go back to watching porn like a crazy person. These are all the things you can do wrong after you relapse on your NoFap. But let's look at the 3 bright sides of a NoFap relapse. 1. A NoFap relapse gives you the conviction of your addiction. Maybe you just read about NoFap on a forum and most of the things you read sounded like horseshit to you. Let's say you're not convinced you're a PMO addict because you can't bring yourself to believe that porn can have devastating effects on your well-being. How can something that feels so good be bad for you, you wonder? But you tried the NoFap challenge anyway because you thought it would be a piece of cake. And after just 1 week, when you literally couldn't go a day longer, you relapsed. If you paid close attention to the urges you were getting on your NoFap streak, no one would have to tell you that you have an addiction problem. To me, a relapse is the real test of addiction to any compulsive behavior. This is the first positive you can take from your relapse because it helps you to know that you are addicted to porn and masturbation. So moving forward, you will take the NoFap challenge more seriously the next time you do it. 2. A NoFap relapse provides you with a learning opportunity. Let me repeat this to you again. Before there can be success, there has to be failure. Before there can be a successful NoFap reboot and recovery, there has to be a relapse. And when these relapses occur, they are a window for you to see what you need to start doing, what you need to change, and what you need to stop doing. Examples of lessons you can learn when you relapse are the cues that set off your addiction cycle, what your physical triggers are, and what your emotional triggers are. But this learning process is only possible if you pay attention. So immediately after your relapse, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, retrace your steps and figure out what led to that relapse. Was it an emotional state you were in? Was it boredom? Were you triggered by a particular time of the day when you were by yourself in your room? Was it depression? Or was it loneliness? You will be really surprised at your triggers if you give your relapse a deep thought. 3. A NoFap relapse doesn't mean your NoFap progress is lost. A lot of people get disappointed after a relapse because they think that all the rewiring and rebooting going on in their brain is now lost. I'm here to emphatically tell you that your NoFap progress is not lost after a NoFap relapse. As I said earlier, the relapse itself is not your problem. It's what comes after the relapse that you need to worry about. And it is how you deal with what comes after that counts. The relapse itself is not your failure. It's how you pick yourself up after the relapse that determines if you've really failed at NoFap or not. If you relapse and go on a PMO binge, then your NoFap progress is now lost. If you relapse and start feeling depressed and start feeling sorry for yourself, then your NoFap progress is now lost. After you relapse, if you start thinking that NoFap isn't worth your effort, that NoFap isn't worth your time, and that after all, you didn't notice any difference in your life while you were on NoFap, then your NoFap progress is now really lost. So, have the knowingness that the relapse isn't the failure, and one relapse won't stop all the rewiring and the rebooting going on in your brain. Your brain will try to trick you into the chaser effect or to start thinking that NoFap isn't working for you. But instead of falling for your brain's gimmicks, you can choose to focus on the positive sides of relapse that we've been discussing so far, and take that as an incentive to quickly get back on the NoFap wagon. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more insightful NoFap videos like this one. And don't forget to turn on the notification button so that you get alerted anytime I drop another NoFap video like this one. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.